Hello and welcome to MissouriNet.com. I'm Bill Pollack. It's time for our weekly meeting with Jason West, the Communications Director from MSHSAA. Jason, thanks a lot for joining us again. Listen, there's only a couple of days left, and I say that a couple of days, at least according to my son. He's a senior, so he's kind of checked out already. So I know there's maybe 2 weeks of school left before everything is done with. And now you've got all the spring sports that are winding down, that need to wind down as we get ready for championships. So you guys are certainly busy.
Yes, we'll have just about everybody in competition at some point this week, starting with today.
Now, let's go back. I don't know if it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago, but there was music, and then you also had the Scholar Bowl. Talk about some of those events that took place.
Well, it was 2 weeks ago now. We had the music festival, which is probably the largest event that we have as far as actual participation at the state level. It's a 3-day event. It's been held on the Mizzou campus for quite a while, and we have just about 10,000 kids participating in that. This year we had a record number of events at just over 5,200 events. And had great weather. Mother Nature cooperated with us. Had a little bit of a rain shower Saturday morning, but it dried up and the sun came out and was terrific for Saturday afternoon, which is really good when you have all those people going from building to building. They don't like to get wet too many times with their instruments and things like that. So had a great weekend there. This past weekend, Friday, Saturday, we had the Scholar Bowl Championships. And again, that was held at Memorial Union on the Mizzou campus, and I had 32 teams come in over those 2 days. We have 4 classes in that activity, and everything went great. Had the award ceremony afterward, and everything went very smoothly there, and crowned. Had a lot of new faces this year in Scholar Bowl, which was really nice to see. The parity even in that activity.
Yeah, I was going to say, we talk a lot of times when we preview the championships for different sports about schools that are on a run, how many times they've been into a championship appearance, how many times they've won, how many streaks they've had. There was a dynasty in Scholar Bowl with Richland High School.
There was. They had a record number, I believe it was 14 championships out of the, and MSHSAA taken over Scholar Bowl in 1996, I believe was the first one. So relatively new event at the championship level. And so for them to have 14 of those already is quite an accomplishment.
Now, how do schools and teams prepare for the Scholar Bowl? I mean, how do you get ready for that?
There is a science to it. Obviously, it's information gathering and studying and things like that, and studying different concepts and math and terms and science and art, literature, things like that. But there's even more to just having the knowledge base. There's the listening to the questions, and a lot of times you can get the answer from the question, within the question. And so listening to it and knowing what cues to listen for and know, and being able to get those reflexes going and hit the buzzer the fastest is interesting to listen to those coaches when they get together and talk technique more than knowledge.
It's absolutely amazing. I mean, obviously these kids are bright, they're smart, they're good kids, but then you're asking them to do all of this under pressure and to not make mistakes and stay focused. And it's one thing when you're in an athletic sport and you're feeling some pressure to perform physically, but it's just as demanding to do it mentally. So I'm glad that we're touching on this, because I don't think it gets obviously enough promotion, but there's the same type of pressure and same type of mental preparation that goes into this, and so it's great to see these kids perform well.
Yeah, and there's a shot clock in Scholar Bowl as well, and so they only have a few seconds once they actually are able to buzz in and to give the answer. They can't just kind of sit there and wait and think about it. They have to buzz in and answer almost immediately. So, there is very similar pressures to an athletic endeavor at Scholar Bowl too. So for these kids to be able to do it as well as they did, and we had some great matches this year too across the board. A lot of the pool play and even some of the championship bracket play came down to the last few questions of the match, and so that makes it a lot of fun as well.
And then as far as the state musicians, and Jason, I've said this before, this is how I've tried to compare musicians to other kids that are playing athletic sports. You can have a football quarterback who can throw 60% of his passes, and that's considered successful. You can have a free throw shooter hit 80% at the free throw line and be considered very successful. You can have a baseball or softball hitter. I mean, if they hit 400 on the high school level, those are outstanding. You have someone that plays a musical instrument and they only hit 40% of their notes or 60% of their notes or 80% of their notes, and everyone's ears are bleeding. I mean, these kids
don't play that instrument very long.
Yeah, you can't, when you're playing a musical instrument, you can't flub up. And I know that when you watch sports, there's physical errors and things that will happen where you're not going to have 100% success, but you have to be near perfect, whether you're singing or playing a musical instrument. And if not, you stick out, and it makes a big difference. So these kids have to be near perfect all the time. And my respect for musicians and singers over the last couple of years, as I've been involved with high school and watched these kids, has just gone through the roof, my amount of respect for these kids.
Oh, it's phenomenal, and to see the reaction of when they see their ratings and they get that one rating at state, it really reminds you of why we do what we do, and not knowing any backstories or anything like that, but just knowing what those kids had to go through and the amount of practice and dedication to their craft is right up there with any other activity that we do, if not more so. My band director always told me never to tell anybody he was my band director. That's how good I was. And so watching my son, who just started playing the saxophone this year, and seeing how much he enjoys it and has gotten much better in 6 months than I was in 2 years of playing the trombone. It's really amazing to see, kind of fast forward and see that the high school students participating at the state festival and the enjoyment they get out of it, and the reactions that they have when they come and buy their medals and see their ratings.
Yeah, that's great. All right, let me look at some of my notes here, because we do have a lot of sports that's going on. Maybe you can touch on these real quick. Track and field districts were this past weekend. Sectionals for boys golf coming up, spring sectionals for softball. District tennis starts today, and then coming up this weekend, you've got district for girls soccer. So there's a lot happening.
Oh, exactly. Just today, we have, like you said, the sectionals for spring softball. Quarterfinals are going to be later in the week, and then those championships are next weekend down in Springfield at the Killian Complex. We also have the boys golf sectionals today for all four classes, and those qualifiers will then advance to the state competition, which will be next Monday and Tuesday at the various locations. And then, as you said, boys tennis, the team districts start today. So just today alone kicks off a fun week. And then as we progress throughout the week, we'll have baseball districts starting up, and then also girls soccer starting up at the end of the week. So this will be a fun time. A lot of sports either advancing or ending the season this week.
And then what are your responsibilities this week with districts and sectionals in terms of MSHSAA standpoint, and what are you guys kind of looking for, overseeing, there to support? What are you guys kind of keeping an eye on?
Well, for the events themselves, we're looking at rules interpretations, making sure all the players are fully eligible, and the coaches and administrators have reported the correct rosters and things like that. If anything happens at the event itself, like at a track meet, a coach shows up and doesn't have, the participants that he has in events don't match up with what was plugged into the system, kind of watching out for those type issues. And so those are the things that we're on call for. If there's anything at the district level where that district manager has a question of, hey, what do I do when this happens? We're available to do that. We're also there to make sure we get the results reported either on our website, or if it's another system that we're using, that the results are there for people to be able to go and find and see. So that's kind of where we come in at the district level. There are local people, local administrators, athletic directors that are kind of running the district tournaments on our behalf, and that's the first point is participating in that tournament, and then that district manager then contacts us if there's any questions or anything that's kind of questionable.
All right, a busy week coming up in high school athletics here in Missouri, and Jason West and MSHSAA on top of it as always. Jason, we'll catch up next week and find out where we sit with some of these spring sports.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks a lot for watching us here at MissouriNet.com.